is a Range Rover Sport SVR, but we're here to see if a used SVR might be worth the money.
So one of the first things you're going to notice about the design of the SVR, the Mark 1, the first generation, is the fact that it doesn't really look that different to the normal Sport. This might be a good thing if you like subtle cars, if you like cars that are a bit understated, they don't shout too much, you know. First of all, you shouldn't really be buying a Range Rover for that. But if you don't like the subtlety, you're not going to like this car, because there's not much of a difference. It actually looks like a normal S-Sport with a body kit, especially since normally if you're accustomed to the SVR or whatever, you'd see an SVR badge over here, just to be able to remind you that yes, this is an SVR, but this one doesn't have that. Instead, what you do get is this more sportier, more aggressive lower grille, lower front grille. When you go down inside here, you have this little plastic bit over here. It is plastic, it's completely useless, it doesn't lead to anything. Then you have this new revised under side skirt over here. You have the sports tires over here. Those are aftermarket. You get a lot larger haunches over here by the rear and by the front. Then when it comes to the tires, you get a lot larger tires. You do get carbon ceramics on the new one. On the new SV Range Rover Sport, you do get carbon ceramic brakes. On these ones you didn't. On the facelift you didn't. Then coming to the back, you get quad exhaust pipes. You have the SVR badge over there. You could option for black over here. Then you also get a different rear diffuser. Now the diffuser does not work on this one. It did work on the facelift, but on this one it didn't work. That's because this car wasn't actually that much quicker than the other SUVs. Sure, when it got unveiled back in 2017, it was the quickest SUV in the world at the time for like 2 minutes. And then Jeep came along with the Grand Cherokee, Trackhawk, and Bentley came along with the Bentayga Speed. So, let's go inside.
Okay guys, we are in the Range Rover SVR, the first of it. Now, we don't want to talk too much about it because we have done 3 other Range Rover reviews, of which you can see in the description, we'll link below. And we have done the slightly newer SVR of this, as well as the new Sport. But comparing it to the later SVR, we found that a lot of the issues with this inside, or not issues, but minor complaints that we have with the interior of this car, have all been fixed by the new SVR. Starting with basic things like your infotainment has been updated and made newer. And then the general materials of everything has been improved going into the newer models. So obviously giving a good thumbs up to Range Rover for improving some of these small things. Later we can get to that when he speaks about being in the passenger side. But overall, looking at the car here, being the SVR, you get a lot of carbon fiber trim running along the door wells over here. Even on the base of your steering wheel, you've got a really nice stitched steering wheel over here with a lot of leather and soft materials running along the entire car. Obviously, being a Range Rover, this is what you expect. Your headline is Alcantara, very nicely done, and possibly one of the most useful things in a car, and one of the main things I think, and we all agree on, all cars need, is the double sun visor. Thank you, Range Rover, for thinking about the driver and sun being able to come through 2 places at one time. But overall, this car is really, really good. You've got some nice storage piece over here for your cups over there. Then it may look like you don't have much storage, but the whole point of this isn't for storage. You've got some basic space here, and if you open this, you've got your little fridge, because it's a Range Rover, and you know, Range Rovers is like BMW having 6 cylinders. You need a fridge in a Range Rover. You have some more hidden storage over here in the door well, which for the first half of seeing the car I didn't really like, as it looked like it wasn't meant to be there. But after finding out the purpose of the actual door well over here, it isn't too bad. One of my pet peeves I have with the car is the door handles. They are quite awkward to get your hand into, and you kind of have to pull them from this direction and push out at the same time, and it can be a bit of a hassle to use. Another thing is, if you even the average height in South Africa of 5'8", it is a struggle to get in and out of this car. Not only are the seats quite high up, but the car in general is quite high up for a Range Rover. So that is particularly funny for me to see a whole bunch of the short Bedford View moms driving these all around, because they must struggle to get in and out of this car. But overall, the interior is obviously slightly older than the newer car, but it isn't a bad interior. I mean, with this beautiful carbon fiber trim and this beautiful Range Rover finish all over, there's not much else to complain about. I mean, the start-stop button is in a weird place, and so it is that kind of weird to access it. And in general, this this interior is quite minimalistic. It's very simple, just how the outside or the exterior of the car is as well. So I'm going to hand it over to Leto on the side now to let him tell you more or less what he thinks about it in the passenger side.
And on the side, well, on the passenger side, there are only one or two things that I really can add on. The fact that you are, as a passenger, reminded that you are to behave. Be mindful of the fact that you are in an SVR. And then on this side, if you want to access the glove box, you have to use this button over here. And there is a certain amount of symmetry that Land Rover might have wanted with here, especially since, you know, these two are on either side and, you know, you have buttons on either side of the infotainment system. But once you press this, well, the glove box comes down, and I'm sitting in pretty much like a normal seating position right now, and it just hits your knees right there, so that can be a little bit annoying. You obviously open up, and there's not really much space inside the glove box, especially once the thick service manual is over there, and you're going to, well, it's going to get thicker. It's going to be used a lot because, let's be honest here, it's a Land Rover. It's going to be visiting the dealership more than it actually gets to your own house. Well, given that, and the fact that it's actually so thick. I'm sorry. Why does it have to be this thick? And we paged through this before the review, right? The actual service book is the thickest thing here, and then the rest is like different manuals and stuff to be able to maintain the interior and to be able to find where you can change the oil and stuff like that. On the sides, just what Mateo was saying, it is a little bit claustrophobic feeling. But it is nice that you can, you know, have very easy access to all the other controls and everything. Very easy to be able to annoy the driver from here.
Okay guys, we are at the back end to see how practical the Range Rover SVR really is. And I just want to start off by showing you that you do have some light here, as well as your tow hook display. You've got some hookage for groceries, obviously, to hand your bags in. And overall, the bag spacage in here, or the storage capacity in the back of the SVR, is still good. It is, at the end of the day, still a large Range Rover. Just as I complained about before though, the car is quite high, and that does not end with the rear end. I mean, standing over here, as you can see, it's nearly at my hips. So if you are a smaller, shorter person, to get stuff into the back of the car may be a bit of an issue. Obviously, if you're a bit taller, or even my height, the average height, you may be fine. But for you Bedford View moms out there, getting stuff in here, I still don't know how you do it. I don't know how you get in the car nicely, and I don't know how you put things in the car. You've got the Alcantara headlining still running to the back end here, creeping into the back end, and overall there's not much else to really speak about. It's obviously finished good enough to handle like outdoory materials so that it doesn't ruin the back end, and you've got more than enough storage to take your family on a good road trip.
Now we have come to the power plant of this behemoth of a car, a 5-liter supercharged handcrafted British V8, putting at around 550 horsepower and around 700 newton meters of torque, which is good for around 0 to 100 times around 4.2 seconds or 4.5 seconds in some wetter conditions a lot of the time. And knowing that it's this big and it weighs a lot, you can probably only get this down to maybe 4.2, 4.3 seconds.
Okay guys, so quickly, before we give you a little treat by taking this beautiful car out for a drive, I just want to touch on the quick infotainment system. Obviously you can see it's full digital. You've got your full on gauge cluster. I see that the actual speedometer is actually done quite weirdly. There's a weird font to it that almost gives it a 3D effect, as if it's facing at an angle, which is pretty cool. Otherwise, this infotainment system is the older system to the SVR that we have recently reviewed, and it is still a good infotainment system. You do have a good Meridian sound system inside here, and this is quite easily to use and easy to access. Okay guys, so the little surprise for you is we have actually been able to hop into the Range Rover SVR thanks to 4x here. It is honestly a really weird feeling, considering that the last car we were in was an Aston Martin Vantage, which is almost as low to the ground as you can possibly go. This is the complete opposite. You really do feel like you're above everyone else. I really do understand it now more than ever before of why people buy the Range Rover, or for instance like a G-Wagon as well. Is because when you're next to normal cars, they're next to your door. You literally look over all of them. The only thing you're at is taxis and small trucks. And I need to just say that on slight acceleration, the nose lift on this car is insane. So I can only imagine under full throttle how high this nose must actually lift up. Overall, the first thoughts of driving the car is actually really good. I mean, it is a Range Rover and it has a high performance engine inside of it, so you need minimal torque to actually get the car going, to get it to drive, to get it to go anywhere. It's not that difficult to get the car moving. It's got enough power to get the house of a car moving from a go, or from a stop, I should say.
And I will say, from the back seat, it's very comfortable back here. It is a Range Rover, and it's surprising just how much taller you are than everyone else. You know, with much more SUVs that are in this category, even an X7 or an X5 feels smaller than this, and is I honestly have no words by just how much more taller you are in this car. And that exhaust note is to die for. It feels like there is, it literally feels like there is a ripple effect in the earth that is happening right now, and it's been torn apart. That's how I can best describe this engine and this exhaust note, but I will talk about it more when I am driving.
Alright, so we're here in the Range Rover Sport SVR, and I just want to find a road. Well, I think we know a road that has some twists and turns, so we're just going to see how this car handles, because that's one thing that's changed the most between this generation and the current generation. Even with the facelifts, Range Rover or Land Rover put a lot of effort into trying to get as little body roll as possible. So what we're going to do is we're going to floor it. First things first, there is a little bit of body roll that you get, especially when you are trying to accelerate out of corners, which can be a bit of an issue. However, I'm in normal drive mode right now. I didn't put in any sport mode or anything like that. I'm not shifting at all. And, you know, the shifts, it's so good. Another thing that Land Rover did very well with the engine is the ability to be able to get power down, even driving at normal speeds. And of course, it's an SUV. It has to be a highway warrior. So it's very good at that. Now get into the corner over here. Heard that. So I had my foot down through most of that corner, but it only started getting the power down when we were going out to the corner, which can be a bit of a problem if you want to drive at speed at more twisty turny roads. So that's a little pet peeve of mine.
And then I just like to add from the back here that this is definitely taking #1 spot of the best sounding car we have driven. There really is nothing like the Trackhawk or Range Rover Sport supercharged V8. I mean, the whine coming from the front and that throaty Jaguar sounding growl coming from the back end of this car is absolutely insane. And then on top of all of that, the feeling in the back is very similar to the feeling in front, and the way that you sit up, you sit above everyone else. I mean, there's a Forester next to us. It looks like a station wagon. It's like you just sit in a premium position in this car. You feel like you are up there with the best.
So we just got into sport mode right now. And it just lifts off. And in terms of brakes, now these are with aluminium brakes. You can see how it's just stopping, and I'm almost stopped entirely before that EcoSport right over there. Now it's gonna turn, and I want to show you just how this car is able to lift off from a traffic light. So here we are, from still. So that's what Mateo was talking about when he's talking about the lift. The lift is absolutely insane in this car, and even over bumps, the over bumps this car is incredibly smooth. I'm surprised it's this smooth because this is a performance car after all. So you'd expect it to be a lot more rough in terms of ride, but it's just a lot better.
Okay guys, so now I'm driving and actually I just want to floor it. Oh my god, that bark! That bark is crazy! It's crazy! Like, I've never driven a car where the bark is as big as its bite. Like, my days. And this is the first, like, supercharged car I've driven. Of course, we've driven the Volvo XC60 T8. But that supercharger, oh my god. You might not hear it as well in the cabin, but when you do have this car, it's crazy. It's crazy.
And I don't know why they didn't mention this, but in the back seats, it feels like you're sitting on top of the exhaust pipes. I don't know why the both of you didn't mention this, but it feels like you're sitting on top of the exhaust pipes. And that's just because of how loud the exhaust pipes are. But yeah, I mean, it's insane. It's an insane experience.
Yeah, it really
Every bit of
is.
this car is an insane experience.
And after flooring it, we have lost a bit of juice.
So other than the mechanic shop, this is the second favorite place of the Range Rover SVR, is the fuel station. So we'll catch you guys in a bit.
So we're filling 100 rand worth of petrol at this, and it gets you 4 liters of fuel. 4 liters of fuel! Eugene, you're paying for this.
It's crazy. I'm not gonna have enough to get back home.
You're probably getting 1.5 kilometers more range out of that 100 rand, but it's worth it when you have that throaty noise coming out the back.
It's worth it, but you're gonna need the money. You're gonna need Range Rover money.
Which I clearly do not have at this current stage. But stay tuned. As long as you like it, comment, and subscribe.
Yes, if you like and subscribe, you can afford to film more of these kind of cars and actually have petrol to drive them.
Okay, guys. So now that I have filled it up with a bit of petrol, it does nothing for it, by the way. I feel like I'm driving a boat. I literally feel like I'm driving a ship. Like, this is crazy just how much height this car gives you and how much presence it just impersonates on a car. Like, looking down at an i20, it's like an ant, or I don't know what other small animal you think it is, like maybe a rat, although maybe, yeah, probably a rat. But you just have the commanding view of a 2-ton ship. It's so big. I've been in most SUVs, and I think every single person has been in most SUVs, and nothing can probably rival Range Rover. Maybe a G-Wagon, but that's a bit nitpicking because those cars are extremely expensive. For something like a G63, you're paying well above almost 3.5 to 4 million rand, or maybe more. But over bumps, it's nice and soft and supple. It's compliant. The suspension is, compressing well. It's nice. It's calm. Wow, yo.
Yeah, just like Letu said, the car is still a Range Rover. You are still getting your money's worth out of the luxury and comfort and control that Range Rover gives you from their more luxurious types of cars. Obviously, this being SVR is the more sporty type of car that they do offer. And even though this is the previous facelift, it's not a bad car at all. The body roll is a bit of an issue, but again, you don't go and buy an SVR to go on track. You buy it, one, for its road presence and what it is, and what you can tell people you drive by saying, I drive the top of the range Range Rover. And for the sound, that exhaust is absolutely magnificent. And then obviously exactly what I just mentioned, the comfortability and performance of this car is just insane. Obviously, it is not your most economical car. We might have just scared the learner driver here, but it is not the most economical of cars.
Okay, so this is going to be the driving verdict, and the verdict that all three of us have decided on, and we actually agree on. First of all, the body roll is a massive issue. Mateo described it as feeling a little bit unsafe, and that's a bit of what I got too. You can't really push it too much in the corners because it does feel like the car is going to tip over a bit. It obviously won't because it's got so much weight on the wheels and on the suspension, but it is going to feel like you don't want to push it too much, especially given the fact that you can get up to high speeds. I mean, we were doing certain numbers that I can't mention on this, but we were doing some good speeds, right? And the car will get to that, so acceleration isn't a problem. The car being able to carry the speed isn't a problem, especially carrying speed into corners. It's just the fact that you're going to want to brake a lot. That is good though, because the brakes are still very good. This car is on aluminium brakes. Carbon ceramics would do wonders on this car, right? And if you want carbon ceramics, go for that one. If you want a car that doesn't maybe body roll as much, consider a Porsche Cayenne, or maybe a Macan, maybe something smaller. Also consider an Alfa Romeo Stelvio QV or an X3M. Those cars do have a lot less body roll into the corners. The Stelvio is as fast going into the corners, but it just won't accelerate as quickly. So, who is this car for? Well, if you want a Range Rover or Range Rover Sport, but you don't feel like they're as punchy enough off the line, definitely go for this. If you like cars that lift a lot, go for this. This is your car. If you want a car that's showy when it performs, this is your car.
Now that we've reached the final conclusion of this review, what do we think about it? Is a used Range Rover SVR worth the money? Without a warranty, you really are stepping on stones, well, hot stones for that matter. But if you do have boldness in you, I would say, yeah, maybe do get one, because for something like this, you get a wonderful interior. The technology really is kind of dated, but you get that glorious exhaust note and you get a massive 5-liter supercharged V8, which Range Rover cancelled for the new SV product. So if you like this video, make sure you like, comment and subscribe, because there's more of these coming in the future. See you next time.